Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Before starting, I ask the permission of all the devotees, especially Holiness Nanda Maharaj, to speak a few words on Chaitanya Charitamrita today. Peut-être, Révati, ce que tu voudrais traduire au fond pour... vous êtes combien qui ne parlent pas l'anglais? Deux. Tu peux t'asseoir avec elle au fond et puis essayer de traduire. Je pense qu'il y a peut-être un livre en français, un Chaitanya. Maybe there is Chaitanya Charitamrita in French for the translator. Yeah. C'est le premier volume, tu peux regarder, c'est le Adi Lila volume 1, s'il est là. S'il n'est pas là, bon.
Do you know which verse we're reading from?
I don't have the book yet, but she's writing the verse actually. Oh.
Automatic.
Automatic.
Good writer. Good writer on that is reflected properly on the board. You can read it.
It's nice, yes. Om Agnati Nandasya Levanasla Kaya Shakshurimitam Ginatasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yanabhutari Swayam Rupakadamahyam Tadati Swapanamikam Panchakalpatavagya Shakri Pasindu Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we are reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 2, text 58.
58?
Yeah, 58. Ataiva Brahmavakye Paravyoma Narayana Teno Krishnira Vilasa Etatva Vivarana Ataiva Brahmavakye Paravyoma Narayana Teno Krishnira Vilasa Etatva Vivarana Ataiva Brahmavakye Paravyoma Narayana
Devo Krishnera Vilasa Etatva Vivarana Ataiva Brahmavakye Paravyoma Narayana Devo Krishnera Vilasa Etatva Vivarana
Mataji?
Ataiva Brahmavakye Paravyoma Narayana Devo Krishnera Vilasa Etatva Vivarana.
Est-ce que vous avez trouvé le livre en français? D'accord. Ataiva, therefore, Brahma, of Lord Brahma, Vakye, in the speech, Paravyoma, in the spiritual sky, Narayana, Lord Narayana, Tenho, he, Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Vilasa, pastime incarnation, A, this, Tattva, of the truth, Vivarana, description. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, so maybe I read the previous verse, because when there is therefore, this is like a conclusion. So I read just the previous verse. The source of these three features, meaning the three Purusha, yeah. The source of these three features is the Narayan in the spiritual sky, is your Vilas expansion. Therefore, you are the ultimate Narayan. The translation of the verse today. Therefore, according to the authority of Brahma, the Narayan, who is the predominating deity in the transcendental world, is but the Vilas feature of Krishna. This has now been conclusively proved. Text 59. There is a few verses without purport. So I read a few verses. Eshloka tadvalakshana. Oh, sorry, I don't have it. Eshloka tadvalakshana bhagavatasara parivasa rupehiyara sarvatra dikara. The truth identical in this verse, quote, text 30, is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. This conclusion, through synonyms, applies everywhere. So, the truth indicated in this verse is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it refers to the verse Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsa, which is the Paribhasa Sutra, meaning the essential verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Godhead has many personalities. God has many personalities, but there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is Krishna. So this is the reference to this verse. Text 60. Brahma Atma Bhagavan Krishnera Vihara E Artana Jani Murka Artha Karihara. Not knowing that Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan are all features of Krishna, foolish scholars speculate in various ways. Avatari Narayana Krishna Avatar Tena Chatur Bhuja Ina Manushya Akara. Because Narayana has 4 hands, whereas Krishna looks just like a man, they say that Narayan is the original God, whereas Krishna is but an incarnation. Narayana has 4 arms, so it's special. Krishna has 2 arms, so it's not special. That's their conclusion. Some scholars argue that Narayan is the original personality of Godhead, of whom Krishna is an incarnation, because Sri Krishna has 2 hands, whereas Narayan has 4. Such unintelligent scholars do not understand the features of the Absolute. Thank you very much. So we are now reading it's kind of a preface of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Adi Lila. I think the first 12 chapters. It's kind of a preface to the text, and in this preface, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author, is actually is showing the proofs that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll go a little bit, maybe I don't know if you read the preface and the introduction when you started reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada makes a nice, actually the publishers of this edition make a nice summary of how Chaitanya Charitamrita was written. Maybe we can do a small recap. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he enacted these pastimes and how it came to be written. So mostly he had a companion in his youth, who was Murari Gupta, who was keeping a diary. Say like this, diary. Keeping a diary, you can see how important it is to keep a diary. If you have not, kept a diary, just like Arisori kept a diary of Prabhupada's activities. So he kept a diary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities, mostly until he took sannyas. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the 6 years of middle years of his life, of his pastimes, he went out traveling all around India. And then he came and he settled in Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, his constant companion was? Yes, Swarup Damodar Goswami. And Swarup Damodar Goswami also kept a Kadacha diary, and he wrote notes. And there was another devotee, I mean, so many devotees, of course, in Jagannath Puri, but there was another devotee, Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami was also an intimate devotee of Lord Chaitanya. He was under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the world, Swarup Damodar Goswami told all these pastimes, also through his diary, to Raghunath Das Goswami. But Raghunath Das Goswami was so much suffering of separation from the departure of Lord Chaitanya that he decided to commit suicide. So he decided to go to Vrindavan and to jump from Govardhan. So you can imagine how high was Govardhan at that time, because if you go nowadays and you try to jump from Govardhan, I don't think you'll leave your body, So it must have been really high. But when he reached Vrindavan, he met Rupa and Sanatan, and Rupa and Sanatan told him, no, please, you should not do this. You know all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And here in Vrindavan, we know something, because Vrindavan Thakur had already written Chaitanya Bhagavat. So they knew something of the pastimes. Some had been witnesses, personal witnesses of some pastimes. But they didn't know everything, because mostly Vrindavan Thakur had written also about the primary pastimes, Adi Lila and Madhya Lila, but nothing practically about this Antya Lila. So every day, Raghunath Das Goswami would sit on the bank of Radhakund and he would speak for hours. I don't know how many hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours every day. Devotees would listen.
Yeah, this was how you said
3 hours. 3 hours every day. Can you imagine? Be sitting there, maybe take a birth again, we wish to be sitting there. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was among the listeners, so he heard everything. And he was speaking, Raghunath Das Goswami was speaking, but it would be lost also. So the devotee asked Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, please, write this down, So please, make a book about these things, all these pastimes. So Krishnadas Kaviraj said, how can I do this? I'm so old, I don't know how old he was, but maybe surely more than 100 years. And he was trembling and he had practically lost his eyesight. But, he was blessed. He went to ask the permission of Madan Mohan, his deity. The garland fell on his neck, and fell down, and the pujari gave him the garland. So like this, he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Chaitanya Charitamrita for us, is a very, very important book, because it's the continuation of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, you can see the logic of these books, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna spoke 5,000 years ago, he said, Sarva Dharman Parichaja, Mamekam Sanam Braja. Just give up everything and surrender unto me, Krishna said 5,000 years ago. Then, Srimad Bhagavatam starts by the second verse, Dharma Projito Keitavotra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam. This Srimad Bhagavatam is rejecting all cheating dharmas. So it starts actually, Srimad Bhagavatam starts where Bhagavad Gita ends. Give up all these dharmas, means cheating dharmas, and just surrender, Sharanagati. Then Srimad Bhagavatam starts from this point. And Srimad Bhagavatam is full of verses actually glorifying the chanting of the holy name. It also predicts the coming of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yagya Sankirtana Praye, Yajanti Sumilasa. And the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, does somebody know, maybe apart from Maharaj, does somebody know what the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about? Yes. Sarva Papa Pranashanam. Yeah. Pranamo. I have got idea. Pranamo dukkha shamanas tam namami harim param. So the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam starts with the word Nama Sankirtan. So, Nama Sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranashanam pranamo dukkha shamanas tam namami harim param. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. So like this, you have this logic, this development. Also, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, it's quite a famous quote that he said that, if there was an annihilation and you are floating in the ocean, and then of annihilation, and you see some books, and there is a book floating, and it's Srimad Bhagavatam, and you catch it, and you catch the book, and then that's it, you don't need any other book than Srimad Bhagavatam. But then he said there is Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you have to decide of which one you leave your grip on. Then you just catch Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Chaitanya Charitamrita has got the essence of Chaitanya, of Srimad Bhagavatam, and actually of all the scriptures. I think there is more it's like 1,000 verses quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita or something. So it's interesting how in the beginning of this book, actually, sometimes we expect to get into the Lilas immediately. And it's quite a long way before the Lila actually. It's got so much philosophy. Prabhupada started to read this Adi Lila in New York in the beginning for the hippies. I think he didn't do it too long, but we still have some classes, and he reads about this. He says, please, listen. It's a bit technical, but it's important. He says, it's important. And I mean, if you get the mercy, I remember on Sankirtan one day I was on the parking lot and we were distributing Adilila, So you can imagine, normally we give some books, sometimes they are packed up in plastic, and they cannot open them, These books were not, wrapped in plastic. They were, you can imagine when you open the book, Chaitamrita. And I gave it to one household wife, she had her, a bag of grocery, and she took the book and she opened it, I thought, that's it, that's finished, I'll try over, she starts to try to read something. And I saw she was trying to read, and she pronounced one word, she said, Nityananda. And she said, oh, it seems interesting, I take it. And she just said Nityananda, she said, it seems interesting, So I think, she really got the best word in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like this, if we get the mercy, we can understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's like so philosophical, but for us, Kali Yuga people. But let's try to think about what is said here. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj is trying to, he's establishing the fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. So why is it important for us? Why is it so important that Krishnadas Kaviraj established? Because, maybe we could have thought, just by his pastime, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes were so extraordinary. Why, putting so much emphasis on the fact that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why so much philosophy, Anybody has got some idea about this? Why? Why is so important? Can you guess anything? Huh?
It takes like a mantra to spread and for holy name, spiritual body, like a seal.
That's a good indication, actually, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message was surrender to Krishna, isn't it? Surrender to Krishna. But anybody can say this, and anybody can give a process. But you can tell me to surrender to that person, but who are you to tell me to surrender to that person, Maybe that person is bona fide or not, because if you tell me, you know, who are you? Are you qualified to tell me to whom to surrender, you know? Plus, it's like it's said that Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Only Supreme Personality of Godhead can give religious principles. Even the great rishis established in Sattva Guna, they cannot really define what is the religious principles. What to speak of giving the Yuga Dharma. So Yuga Dharma, religious principles can be given only by Krishna. And since in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya, the avatar of Krishna is a hidden avatar, and somebody has to reveal it, you know, because he is hidden. He doesn't want to say that he is Krishna. Although we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is many pastimes with his devotees. He would reveal it to his devotees actually. He never revealed it to the public, but to many devotees he revealed that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Especially in the Mahaprakash Lila. In 72 hours he sat on the throne, you know, the Vishnu's throne, you know, and he got all the adoration from his devotees, you know, revealing all his opulences, that he was the source of all the avatars. To Murari Gupta, who wrote this diary, he revealed that he was Lord Ram, you know, and then Murari Gupta was Hanuman. So he revealed so many things. He revealed to Shivastaku, you know, he said to Shivastaku, come. He said, do you remember when the Muslims, you know, they attacked the village? Yeah. It was tough time, you know, it was not like, now sometimes we complain, you know, about, you know, the French people, but at that time, you know, you could have, you know, after 3 days, you know, guys coming and destroying and raping people and, you know, looting the whole place, you know. So yeah, you remember this Muslim, they came, they attacked the village, and you had to flee with your family. Yeah, remember? They had to flee with his daughters. I don't know how many daughters he had, but his wife, you know, and they went running, and they came to the Ganges, and they were, you know, there was no way to cross. Maybe, you know, usually, sometimes men know to swim in India, but usually women do not know to swim. It's a fact, you know. So there was no way to cross the Ganga. So and the Muslims were coming, you know, so they decided to jump, you know, and commit suicide. You know? And then at that moment, there was a boatman who came. He said, get in. You want to cross the Ganga? Yeah. So Chaitanya Prabhu said, the boatman, that was me. So he revealed like this how to the devotees how. And one time also there was, I don't remember his name, that devotee was, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not taken sannyasa, and when he was Grihastha still in Navadvip, in the afternoon he would roam about Navadvip, you know, and have the pastimes, enter, you know, these devotees' homes, you know, drink from the lota of Sridhar, then, you know, do this pastime here, that pastime there, you know, he would enjoy with his devotees like this. And after a Sankirtan, he went to a house of a devotee, and he rested, and that devotee had the lap, at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resting on his lap. If somebody remembers his name, is Mani something, because he had a very nice writing, you know, his writing was like pearls, you know, and he was a scribe actually. And as he was more or less sleepy also, but, you know, and then he was looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was, you know, lying, taking rest, and he was looking at Mahaprabhu's hand, and suddenly Mahaprabhu's hand turned from golden to blue, dark blue, with all kinds of rubies and beautiful stones, you know, and you know, he saw Krishna. So he went mad practically, you know, he went mad. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, I've shown you, but don't tell anybody before my pastime is over. Before my pastime is over. If you tell, you will die. I told this to many devotees actually, that if you reveal he would reveal himself, but he said, don't reveal it to anybody, you know. After, you can do it, you know, after my pastime over. So, like this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, So Krishna said Sarvadhamam Parichaja, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and showed how to surrender to Krishna. That's his main, by his example. Actually, one name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Vishwambar, means he is holding the whole world, he's maintaining. It is said that actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead is already holding everybody. He's holding us, he's maintaining us. There is chapters in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, you know, I'm the light of the moon, I'm the light of the sun, Rasoham Apsukanteya Prabhasmi Sasisuryayo, I'm the taste of water, I'm the fire in your stomach, which helps you to digest your food. So God is everywhere. Prabhupada said you should realize that you are sitting on the lap of Krishna when you are sitting in the temple. You know, we are in Krishna actually. He's maintaining us. But He's maintaining us indirectly through His expansions. You know, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasha Vishnu, like this. And Paramatma, you know, His material energy. But now He comes and He tells us how to surrender directly to Him, and He will maintain us directly. He will take care of us directly. You know. So this is different. You know, we understand that God maintains everybody, but now He comes. His Vishwambar is actually maintaining all the living beings by giving them the process to surrender to Him only. Actually, Krishna says also that in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, after saying these things, you know, that I'm the Paramatma, I'm digesting the food in the stomach, he says that Sarvasya Chamridi Sanivisto Mataksmitir Galamapwanam Cha. From me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. And I've given the scriptures. Vedantascha Sarvam Aham Eva Vidyo Vedantakrit Vedavim Eva Chaham. I give the scriptures. So Krishna also, he maintains us materially, you could say, and He also gives us the process. So it's very important for us, we should become completely convinced. In India, people do not know, mostly they do not know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, isn't it? They have heard of, they know, everybody knows Ram, everybody knows Krishna, and knows some or another. But who knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Is Chanavatar. But in order to accept the Yuga Dharma, you have to know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, you know, anybody, any so-called avatar can do a process, isn't it? This is the process for this age, you know, meditate on the lamp or satisfy your senses as much as you can, you know. Anybody can give any process. So this is very important that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know, and is proved to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is a verse, it's in a Chaitanya Manjusha, I don't know who wrote it, but it's like a summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. It's Aradhya, Prabhupada would quote it quite often, Aradhyo Bhagavan Rajesh Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavana Ramya Kashchid Upasanam Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita Shimat Bhagavatam Pramana Mamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatradara Nahara. So this is actually, this verse, Prabhupada says, is like a summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's concepts and ideas. So what it is? Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesh Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam. We should worship. The supreme object of worship is Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna. Not Narayan, not, you know, he has proven. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has traveled for 6 years, and during these 6 years, he converted people from all kinds of philosophies. Sankhya, Buddhist, Muslims also, you remember, you know, these Patans, you know, he discussed with him about the Quran, and they became great Vaishnavas, you know. They were ready to kill the Vaishnavas just before, you know. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had fallen unconscious because of ecstasy. And he had 2 servants, I think. one was Brahmin, and the other one was from a Kshatriya family background. So when the Muslim came, you know, the Pathans came, you know, they thought that these two sadhus had actually, these two guys had killed this sadhu in order to steal him. So they were ready to arrest them. And the thing is, like, this Brahmin started to tremble in fear, you know. Brahmins are Brahmins, you know, they are not Kshatriyas, you know. Except if they are pure devotees, they are fearless, but you know, Brahmin. And this other one was very courageous. He was from a Kshatriya background, you know. He said, actually, I have a kingdom, you know, and it's not too far, and if I call very loud, you know, they have all these cannons and they will kill you. So the Pathans were a bit reluctant, you know, to do anything. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu woke up at the right time, and you know, he started to speak with them, and he converted them actually, and they became famous Vaishnavas, Prabhupada said. There, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted also Prakashananda Sarasvati, some, I don't remember, yeah, the Buddhists also. The Buddhists, I don't remember if the Buddhists became devotees, but I guess they became. You know, we did this in a drama in Paris one time with Rajadharma. You know, there's Buddhists, I mean, they make a plot to give untouchable food to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, and then this big eagle come and pick up the plate and on the head of the chief of the Buddhists, you know. So like this, he converted many people. And if you study Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process, it's so pure and so sublime. It's all, you know, Tad Dhamma Vrindavanam. Then you should worship Krishna, you should also worship Vrindavan. Everybody worships his own land, you know. Svabhoma Ijadi. Everybody thinks, you know, I'm this body, and wherever this body has taken birth is a worshipable place. You know, whether it's Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, France, America, India, you know, I will die for my country, you know, this is my country. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, stop worshipping your countries, worship Vrindavan. Worship Vrindavan. Understand you are not this body, you are Krishna's servant, you worship Vrindavan. And who is your example in Vrindavan? Who is our example? Big philosophers, big rishis, big tapasvis? No, simple village girls, you know, coward girls. But what is so special about them? They have given up everything for Krishna. Their body, mind and words. Everything is just completely given to Krishna. Nothing, they didn't keep anything. Even their reputation. This is the most difficult thing, to give up your reputation, you know. Very difficult to accept. You know, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you can see gold and earth with an equal eye. I don't know if, Rajan, if we bring you gold and earth, you would see how to use it for Krishna, you would choose the gold. But if we, you know, it's very difficult to see this. But Krishna says more difficult is to see the friend and an unfriendly person with an equal eye. It's very difficult. Very difficult. Because this ego is so strong. You know, we know that the layers of the universe, you know, they get 10 times bigger each time, and the last one is 4 ego, so it's very thick. Very thick. And it's the first thing we got covered by when we entered the material world. This first thing created, after the mind actually. No, after ego. Mind comes after ego. First comes ego. First element created. It has to cover the soul. Then we get a mind, then we get senses. As I said in previous class, you know, when the ego is getting touched by the mode of goodness, then we get the mind. It creates the mind. When the fourth ego gets touched by the mode of passion, then we get the senses, intelligence and senses to act. And when the ego gets touched by the mode of ignorance, it produces all the material elements. Inert. Ignorance, inert. They have no consciousness. And the passion, intelligence, senses, they are used to exploit this material elements. And the mind actually is produced from the mode of goodness. It's quite surprising that when we hear this, but actually we see that when the mind is peaceful, we are very satisfied because it's in its original state. So maybe you can say a few words about this process, because Krishna said, Sarvadharman parichaja mamekam sharanam praja. Just surrender to me. So what is this process of sharanagati? Six items. Maybe somebody can say one of them? Six items. When we speak of surrender, we have to surrender, Prabhu, you have to surrender, I have to surrender to Krishna. What do we have to do? What is this surrender? Is it just, I surrender? So what is actually surrender? Yeah. Anukulyasya sankalpa, prati kulyasya bhajanam. And then, so accepting everything which is favorable for our devotional service, rejecting everything which is not favorable. It's very practical actually. Surrender is not just an idea. It's an idea in the beginning, but it will manifest through very practical activities. So accepting, and you see how Rupa Goswami is actually in line with the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that's what he's explaining actually in his Upadeshamrita. First verse, second verse, third verse, everything, the 6 things favorable for devotional service, 6 things unfavorable for devotional service. Then Rakshasiti Vishvasho, that Krishna will protect me. Goptri Dvevaranam Tata, that Krishna is my only maintainer, Atma Nikshepa. What is it, Atma Nikshepa? Karpani means humility. Sadvida, Sharanagati. So, these 6 processes of surrender, because of course we know that the process is chanting the mantra Hare Krishna. Very simple process, but the whole thing is the attitude in order to get the result. You have to practice it, in the right mood. It's a mood. Krishna Bhavagrahi Janardana. So this mood, the science of Krishna consciousness is established by Rupa Goswami, by Sanatana Goswami, by all the Goswamis, and it tells us, how to surrender. So maybe we have a few minutes. We can remember these 2 verses of Upadeshamrita, and we talk about it. First, the 6 things. Okay, let's start by the 6 unfavorable things. What are they? Starts by Prajalpa. Isn't it? Prajalpa, first one. No, actually, it's not the first one. Atyahara. Ati means a lot. Ahar means, acquiring or eating. Yeah. Too much eating, too much accumulation of things, stuff. It is actually, you can see the modern society is just acquiring useless things. Basically speaking, it's just this, all day long people are going to these shops. It's just useless. You just, just see, when you are doing Harinam in the Rue Nationale in tours, of course you should concentrate on only them, but if you see the shops, and you think, what is really necessary for living? And you remove everything unnecessary, Okay, even clothes, they are necessary actually. We're not going to go around naked, but it's like, how many clothes do you need? How many kinds of clothes, how many kinds of shoes? How many kinds of shoes we need? So, and how many kinds, even nowadays, computers, one day we were saying that, people go and they want to buy a computer, especially old people, they have no idea what they need. And they are in big anxiety. Am I going to buy the right one, And there's the guy, saying, what you want to do with it? Send, what you call them, emails, to my granddaughter, grandsons, Okay, for this maybe you need 250 megabytes of RAM memory. Yeah, okay. But they're thinking, even it's not only old people. When I know I had to buy something, it's like, which one? Maybe I'm going to do it wrong. There's a better one. Maybe and we are in anxiety just to buy the thing because we're thinking, maybe I'm not going to buy the best one. It's very difficult. If you're going to. So some people who have the means, they always go for the most expensive ones. They think like this, at least I get the best. But what they get cheated because they need maybe the cheapest one for what they're doing. Not choosing it is like buying, I don't know, it's like a huge machine for doing a small thing. So these things, atyara, prayasacha, what means prayasacha? Huh? Endeavoring for material things, which are very difficult to attain. So this usually it's not good for a devotee, to even for his own maintenance. It should be simple. You see, of course, the devotees during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time were living much more simpler time. They could, sit in a hut, sell banana leaf cups, or be an Ayurvedic doctor or this or that. Now it's becoming more difficult. But we should try to keep it simple. For Krishna, even sometimes we should not take too big things for Krishna. Prabhupada says sometimes he can. Of course, there is this pastime told by one devotee, I don't remember his name, in Canada, that he had seen this church in Montreal, I think it was, and big church, and the devotees were living in a very small place. And when Prabhupada came, he said, Prabhupada, there is this big church, for sale. Prabhupada said, oh, big church. And he said, I don't remember all the details, but he said, yeah, how is it, and he gave the description, this room could be the temple room, and it's huge, and how much it is? I think it was $500,000 or something, big money at that time. Prabhupada said, oh, and he thought for a moment, he said, too much anxiety, too much headache, better forget it, better forget it. Next time he saw the devotee, he said, what about this church again, and the devotee said, yeah, this perfect place for the deity, back room, and for the temple, and for the devotees, they can live there, and this. Said Prabhupada, yeah, okay, I think we should go for it. Prabhupada, you said anxiety. Yeah, anxiety for Krishna, we should. So like this, it's like for Krishna, it's like we can, but we should not. Our spiritual life should be still, we should not take it at the cost of our sadhana, for example. Okay, prayasacha. I think we land on this verse. Prayasacha, prajalpa is one of the most difficult. The tongue is mentioned twice in this verse. Atiyaram is too much eating. Prajalpa is talking about useless things or being interested in useless things. This is very powerful, actually, and very harmful. Of course, so if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's behavior, of course he took sannyas, so he was the most renowned person. He showed the top example. And he had his disciple, they showed the top in each field. Like Raghunath Das Goswami was the personification of renunciation. Haridas Thakur was the personification of tolerance. Like this, he had devotees, they were a personification of the highest qualities. He showed like this, what is the goal, what is the highest qualities, we can try to develop. Of course, we are not them, we cannot do like Raghunath Das Goswami, go in the Goshala, behind Namacharya, and try to find, what is the rotten things and wash them and eat them. But we can follow in the footsteps. So, yeah, it's a big subject, but it's important for us to hear these things. And just by hearing, actually, it's so complex. You could say all this vilasa, vibhava, and prakash, but just it will purify us, and it's like nice to hear. And Yeah, when we reach, it's always a small test before you get the nectar. So before going to the Lilas, you have to pass the test of this, philosophy. Even Bhagavad Gita, people have to go through the first chapter, all the names, all the names of the combatants, and something like this. Hare Krishna. It's 9 o'clock. Anybody wants to add something? Anything? Prabhu.
We see that regularly our acharyas have to find or write something to establish the divinity of Krishna or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like Baladev Vidyabhushan, who wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam to establish the authenticity of the Vaishnava, the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we have also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who are a lot of, he endeavor a lot to separate the wheat from the blade livré, to distinguish who is a bona fide and who was not. And he did a lot for that. Sundar Kaviraj is writing so many things elaborately, and further on also Jiva Goswami with his Sundar, where he established really the divinity of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in order for the scholars, all those analysts to authentify the origin of the devotee, because most of people they think that devotees are just filthy or ordinary people singing in the street.
Or crazy. Or crazy. And even they think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was mad and had some epileptic disease.
Yeah.
Huh? I think there was, maybe it's a French one who wrote a book, or somebody wrote a book on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his conclusion that he had some epileptic disease, it's like this, it's like you really need to go. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the essential verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of goal is when you become that verse where it's described how you become mad, and you don't give any importance to the public opinion. It's like, it's very high, it's like the goal for us is to become so absorbed in Krishna that we don't care for the public opinion, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the personification of this. It's true, yeah. The devotees have to do this, because Glanir Bhavati Bharata, the religious principles in this material world, they get covered again and again and again, and especially in the West, of course in India also, but one time Jayapataka Maharaj said that the difference between the holy dam and the temples around the world is like they are both transcendental, but it's like the dam is really, it cannot get covered actually, really, it's never losing its power. But the dams, the temples in the West, they are like boats with holes inside, and you have to take the water and take the water outside all the time, because Kali Yuga tries to enter. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, that might be the last one. It's 9 o'clock. You.
Hare Krishna, thank you for
Hare Krishna,
that.
Mataji.
Just if when we are natural being, we have connection with God. And
When we are what?
Connection with God.
Before.
When we are natural.
Unnatural.
Yes, we have connected with God, Krishna, like soul to super soul. Yes.
We have when in our natural state, we have a connection with the super soul.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying.
It is true.
Sure.
Yes. So when it is
Krishna.
for natural take service, this is natural way for us, for everyone.
Okay.
So how to stop the ego that minds doesn't take sometimes the ego comes and a lot of minds, and from minds it was like a sense, and it is not like natural services. How we can do
Yeah.
stop?
I mean, I can say something, but Maharaj can say something. But what I understand you saying, you know, we are natural state is to be Krishna conscious, but now it's not natural because we are covered and our mind takes us away, senses take us away. So we have to revert the process and we have to engage the senses, we have to engage the mind. So devotee Prabhupada says in these verses in Bhagavad Gita, talking about the mind, controlling of the mind, in every practically verses he says that the solution is to be busy in Krishna consciousness, to engage the mind and senses all the time in Krishna's activities. And we don't do it naturally, but it will become natural because the senses will become purified by this, and more, you know, we will be able to fix our mind peacefully on Krishna again, who is inside of us, you know. But now the senses are so contaminated with this material disease, you know, and the cure is actually to engage the senses. So yeah, I heard a class recently, Radhanath Maharaj says the same thing. He said that's why it's so important to be always busy. Busy doesn't mean running around all the time. You can do, you know, busy means like engaging the senses, the mind. It can be reading also. So, you know, like Hariswari Prabhu, I think that was in, he says at the beginning when he became temple commander, you know, in Vrindavan, and he was always chasing devotees, you know, for service. And you know, he approached a devotee, and the devotee was chanting in the temple, you know, and he asked him for service, and you know, he said, "Don't you see I'm busy?" "No, you're not busy, you're chanting Hare Krishna." He went to complain to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, chanting Hare Krishna is very important. But you know, it should not be an excuse, of course, but you know, it's like this story, you know, it's a simple story we say in the Bhakta program, but I like this story, you know, the guy walking on the beach, and he finds this lamp, you know, Aladdin, and it's just like, you know, he goes and rubs the lamp, it's not so shining, so he rubs the lamp, you know, and then, it's a big genie, which appears from the lamp, you know, and the genie has a big sword also. He said, "I'm going to cut your head, chop off your head if you don't give me anything to do." So the guy said, "Okay, you know, go clean the beach, you know, that's after summertime, you know, so many things and all that." So he goes and he thinks, "Okay, I'm going to be okay now for some time at least." After 2 minutes, the guy comes back, you know, you would like to have him in the temple, no? Comes back after 2 minutes, finished. You know, so he gives him, oh my goodness, you know, and the sword is there. So he gives him something else to do, you know, and okay, go clean, you know, go and plow all the fields of the kingdom. And he comes back after 15 minutes. So finally, you know, he's saying, "I'm going to get, my head is going to get chopped off." So he said, "You see this pole, wooden pole, you know, you go and you climb the pole, and when you are up there, you get down, and when you are down, you go up." So the guy goes and up and down, and you know, when he needs him for something, he calls him, you know. So this is the mantra is like the pole, you know. When you don't have anything to do, you chant you chant Hare Krishna, you know. And when you have something to do, you do it. You know. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Hare Krishna.